Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Exploring Coaching Mastery. We're in Series 4. Series 4 is talking about the various stages of a professional coaching engagement. Episode number 2, we're going to be specifically talking about the fulfillment coaching model. So welcome, my name is Peter J. Redding. I'm a professional coach. I'm a professional master. I am a professional master trainer. And this is one of my favorite topics. If you're going to be a professional coach, have a coach to follow. It's a framework. It's a guideline. It's a framework is a good way to say it, I think. A framework in terms of what do you coach, what are you offering your coaching client, and what are you supporting your client to go through in terms of this particular kind of coaching model elements into supporting a client, having them find out who they really are, and establishing a foundation for the coaching relationship. That follow this probably, minimum of 3 months. I recommend that you do coaching engagements for 6 to 12 months or even longer. There's certain things that will need longer time to assimilate in their profession or in their life. So here we go. We're talking about the fulfillment, the Coach for Institute's fulfillment coaching model. Okay, episode 2, Coach for Life, CFL, fulfillment coaching model. Here we go. Right into it. So the stages that we're talking about over these 12 weeks, we started last week with Series 4 with the stage engagement, just kind of a quick overview. If you haven't seen that video, highly recommend it. It gives you kind of a view from 10,000 feet as to what happens from how are you, what do you do for a living, all the way through to completing a professional coaching engagement. And we'll be going into some demonstrations later in this series. I highly recommend that you come to those. It'll be live. It'll be a demonstration of a couple of the key elements of getting into a coaching engagement. So you those. As you have questions today, I encourage you to write those into the chat box, either on Facebook, if you're on live Facebook, or in the Zoom room that some of you are in. If you could type those into the chat box, then I will take a moment every now and then to take a look at those as it relates to the fulfillment model and how it integrates into coaching. So our model, Coach for Life model, is based on a real basic principle, very basic. It's we are spiritual beings. Okay, recognizing the truth in that. And the second part is having a human experience. Have you noticed over the last year and a half, human experience is going on here? So I do live in a 3D world, hot and cold, good or bad, this or that. There's a lot of diametrically opposed principles that are in this plane of existence. And we deal with both. We deal with the realities and the honor these in the coaching model. So that's kind of where Coach for Life started almost 25 and a half years ago now. Recognizing that, and then how do I support a professional coach my clients in a coaching engagement with the realization that I'm going to claim this for myself, I am a spiritual being created by a divine something. Okay, I don't have an answer to all of that, but I honestly believe that. And I'm as human as they come. I'm as human as they come. And so how do I craft a platform that is universal, that can be applied to every single human being, regardless of my students' wanting to coach executives, a lot of them do, or people that are in high school and struggling with being included in the in crowd, the clique, the however they're defining it nowadays, and everything in between, right? So this is a universal model that can be used for everyone that is on the planet. And that's one of the beauties of it. So let's get right to it. So there's 5 elements to this. There's 2 under the spiritual being piece. There's 2 elements to that, and then there's 3 elements within the living a human experience. We are spiritual beings. So coach connects to their divine creator as they understand it. I'm not a missionary. I'm not a missionary for any spiritual tradition. This is a model that works for all spiritual traditions. Early on, I mean, I'm talking about really early on now, the genesis of modern day coaching as we know it today started in basically 1995. And the premise of that at that point in time was that the client is the source of their own best answers. Life. The client is the source of their own best answers for their own life. So models that were early schools of thought. One was a very masculine model. One was a very masculine model that said, just figure out what you want, get it clear in your mind, put the stepping stones in front of you, kind of define those, and then start doing it, and then follow up, stay on track, right? Just do it. Adage, very masculine. Yes, don't put a stake in the ground, and we're gonna persevere no matter what through this. And that's still, and it works. Okay. The other coaching model that was very prevalent at that point in time was what I call a feminine model, and it was one that sort of the body, the physical body, holds a cellular wisdom. In other words, we store wisdom in our body. And so if we access that when we're in a coaching engagement with a client and we ask them to connect with their body saying to you, how are you feeling inside your body about these 3 options? Again, very powerful, I think, and I use that often. But when I was creating a model for Coach for Life in, I don't know, it was like March of 1996, I think. I meditated, and this is what came through, because what is a client going to access was kind of prevalent and weighing on my mind. And so I said, the 2 models they exist. By definition, they are finite. In other words, they're contained within the container of the body. And at that point, my partner and I were very spiritual. Our relationship to a spiritual foundation, not religious, again, not any particular faith tradition, but a spiritual one. And so the initial thought was, if the client is a source of their own best answer, why don't we support them to connect with their highest, most resourceful self, their divine self, if you will. And so that's what started us off saying, okay, so first the coach do that, connect with that. And I do this before my coaching session begins each time. I connect with that sense of my spirit. I call it spirit, my divine creator. And meld with that sense of divine spirit so that I am connected at the highest level that I know how to with the universe, which, by the way, includes me and my client. Okay, that's number one. There's lots of ways of doing this one, by the way. I'm going to invite you to type into the chat box. For those of you that are on the Zoom chat box here, how do you connect with your divine? Is it through prayer? Is it through walking in nature? Is it connecting with a child or a grandchild? Maybe just a picture that you have of them in the house someplace. Connect with your sense of divine. Just type a couple of words into the chat box. And as they come in. Okay, so I have meditate. Thank you, Yash. Chanting, another beautiful way of doing it. I do it via my son. I am a mother. Prayer, thank you. Nature, grandkids, seeking other inspired learners, all spectacular. 1,000 of these. It may be looking at a flower that's outside your window. It could be looking at the glistening gems on the lake that as the breeze blows across it. It might be wings of that bird that's floating, seemingly floating across the water. I do it by just being still. So all, and I highly recommend you do that. Most professional coaches, all the professional coaches that I train, I encourage them to do something to prepare themselves for each. I mean, every single coaching session with every single client, take a minute, in some cases, make 5 minutes, take 20 minutes if you need 20 minutes to kind of quiet your mind. And is a significant part of holding what we've talked about already in a previous series of the coaching presence. Coaching presence is I am here one fully. I'm not multitasking. I'm not multitasking in my brain. I'm not trying to look and check for phone messages, cell messages, WhatsApp messages. How can I be in this sacred space? Creating a sacred space for my client to do their work. That's all contained in this first element of the fulfillment coaching model. The coach connects with their divine creator, their sense of spirit. And again, as they understand it, I do not pontificate or require that people have to be a particular, from a particular. And as a result of that, we've had all the major ones that I'm aware of come through our training, and they're all welcome, and they're all amazing human beings and coaches. So that's element number one, right? Let me just scroll up here. Element number two, we are still spiritual beings, and I hold that for all my clients. Well, again, whether they believe it or not, I'll tell you again, but let me read this one. The coach supports the client to connect with their sense of a divine creator, their sense of it, and as they it. So in my initial foundation session, we're going to talk about foundation session here in this series in much more depth. I think in probably 4 or 5 weeks. So that's. But during that foundation session, I actually send them a form. The form says, do you have a sense of a divine presence? Is the way I name it. Divine presence in your life. And if so, what's your name? What's a name for that for you? So it could be Jesus, it could be Buddha, it could be Muhammad, it could be Mother, Father, Earth, it could be Spirit, it could be the Creator, the omniscient one, the omnipresent one. Whatever that name is, I want to honor that for them because I want to use literally their language. and honor their way. So I'm not going to say spirit if they don't believe that, or that's not the name for it. That I coached many, many years ago. And I asked him exactly that question. I sent the form out to him. He says, I don't believe in a God. I don't believe in a spirit. I don't believe in a afterlife. And so I said, okay, that's perfectly okay. So what I'm trying to get at here is, where does the client go to their sense of infinite resourcefulness, their highest level of resourcefulness, is the reason that I'm asking the client. So for that individual that said he was, I forget at the moment whether it was atheist or agnostic, but he was spiritual, didn't see himself as spiritual or connected to a spirit. I said, okay, so when you need an answer that is really, really important to you or someone, where do you go to access that answer? I said, oh, that's easy, Peter. I close my eyes. I take a couple of deep breaths and I go down to my gut. This is abdomen, his gut. Check in with my gut for what's the right option, what's the right answer to this life's dilemma for myself or a loved one. Fabulous. That's perfect. Thank you so much for sharing that. And that then became, I think we coached for maybe a year, maybe a little. Whenever he was stuck, whenever he needed to come to that place of deep resourcefulness, I didn't spirit to him. I didn't say divine presence. It would have been totally inappropriate. That's not what he believed or what he called it. I just said, I invite you to take a couple of deep breaths and go to your gut. And then allow the silence for him to do that process. He came up with an answer. And it was spectacular. It was a great answer for him and for that situation that he was talking about. So those are the two elements of we are spiritual beings, and the first two elements of the fulfillment coaching model. All right, so let me stop long enough here for any questions. Meditate, visualize, yes, complete focus with the other whom we are one with. Yep. We are one at the end of the day, and I actually believe that. Absolutely believe that. Okay. Any other questions that's coming up? Take a moment to type it in the chat box. Think of answer the question in terms of what if they're not spiritual. We've talked about that already. So that's a great way to have them tell you what is your most resourceful place in your to go to when you need to have an answer. And that it works brilliantly. Okay, we'll move on then. Next element. Oop. Okay, so now we're to, and yes, I am a spiritual being. I honest to God believe that. And I know that I'm a human being, and all the good, the bad, one, right? So having a human experience. Number 3, the coach facilitates the client's discovery using the CoreSELFtech Discovery Process of their core self. Now, core self, my language, and in a Coach for Life's nomenclature, the way we define what is core self. Core self includes values. It includes core purpose, or what a lot of people call life purpose. And also includes core strengths. Core strengths is, again, my interpretation of core strengths are natural gifts and talents. Natural meaning I was It's not something that because I've practiced something for 10,000 hours that I am really, really competent at. May or may not be a natural gift and talent. I've found that in professional world, it probably 80–85% of the time it's not. It's a learned gift or talent or a learned skill or a learned strength. So I make a distinction. But let me come back to the beginning of the definition here. The coach facilitates the client's discovery, and I'm going to submit to you it's a rediscovery. Things are in every human being from birth and maybe before birth, maybe in utero, that the Creator has put inside, endowed to me, gifted to me, to the inside of me. And so the CoreSELFtech technology and proprietary technology that Coach for Life has developed over the last 25 years. There's different stages and sophistications of this technology. I'm actually going to share with you a resource today in today's session of how you can access this at the beginning level of CoreSELFtech. Yeah. Now, if you can think of these three things as the part of the human being is still a divine human being, and to be able to access these things and support to know themselves at a deeper level. Most clients don't know these three things. They've been told who they are for their lifetime, whether they're 17, 37, 57, or 87. It's like they have been conditioned, programmed, not hurtfully, not to, you know, make it hard for them, but because of parents that love them and thought that they wanted to protect their child from the world getting hurt or putting themselves in harm's way. And so they told the child, here's who you are, behave that way. Educators do the same, organizations do the same thing, and so on and so forth. And as a result, there's a sense of a shell, a persona, protective barrier around a human being so that they are not exposed to getting really hurt deep down, okay? So everybody has values. Everybody has a purpose. Everybody has some form of skills that they're utilizing every day of their life. My question is deeper than that. My question is, whose values are you living? Whose values? Is it still your parents' values, your values, your gender values, your age group values? Do you really know your deep down core values that have been there for forever and right now and will be there forever more? Do you really know your life purpose? Not the purpose that you've been given by, again, your parents, your company, your organization, but what's your core life purpose? What are you here to contribute to the world? It goes to the absolute heart of the Coach for Life philosophy, Coach for Life's fulfillment coaching model. A human being never have a deep, satisfying, personal, lasting sense of fulfillment unless and until they know who they are. Otherwise, I am trying to satisfy somebody else's external desires for me because I don't know who I am internally at my very core. At my very core. So this discovery, I'm going to give you the 10-minute version of this CoreSELFtech today in this session. We won't have time to go through that, but I'm going to actually go through Next series, we're going to have a whole series, series number 5. We're in series 4 right now, but series number 5 will actually go through a blow-by-blow, how to do it, answer all of your questions around it, what happens when this happens with a client or a friend of mine that I'm taking it through, and so on. That'll be in series number 5, and that will be at the end of these 12. All right. And there's a longer version that is a professional version of this that we go through in our training. So we obviously won't be doing that. Okay, so again, core values, core purpose, core strengths. How do we access that? That's number 3. And we go through that process with the client. Moving on. Number 4. Now that I know and the client knows that core of them, literally articulated that, written it down, one piece of paper, so that we can now know that in our ongoing coaching sessions. Element number 4 says, by knowing that, now it's the time to go through the alignment process. So the coach supports, let me just read here. The coach supports the client's awareness of how closely or not their plans, decisions, actions align using the CoreSELFtech alignment process with their core self. Again, their core values, their purpose, their core natural gifts and talents. So step 1 in the human side of this thing, being a human being, having a human experience, know thyself, know that core self, okay, and support the client to do that. I've done this process in one of those 2 forms, either version or the 2-hour version. I've probably done that 5,000 times personally with people around the world. It works every time. It works every time, and it's moving. But knowing something is different than actually doing anything with it. Have you noticed? Yeah, I know I need to lose weight. If I go back 20 years ago, I used to say that for the last, 17 of those last 20 years. I know I need to lose weight, but I still like my chocolate cake, and I decided not, I didn't do anything with it. Now the last 3 years, maybe 3.5 years, woohoo, yeah, happy about that one. So knowing something and doing something with it, or aligning my, in this case, my diet, my eating, my snacking, what I'm putting into my body, 2 entirely different things. And again, that's the free will that I have as a human being. So thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for what I should do. I'm not ready for that yet. So this is courageous work, and I'm very serious about that. For people that come into a professional coaching relationship, that client is one courageous person, one courageous dude, mama, whatever you are or whatever they are courageous to go deep, deep, deep within themselves and start making decisions to support them. And again, I don't do any superficial coaching. I don't have time for that. And there's a lot of superficial models that talk about, higher performance levels and, results oriented, and those are fine, by the way. I'm not dissing them at all, because there's a lot of people that aren't ready to do this deeper work. And there are some coaches that are uncomfortable going this client, quite frankly. I encourage you to be that courageous individual and to do your inner work as a coach yourself, because that's part of the person that ICF, International Coaching Federation, talks about a lot nowadays. Continue your personal evolvement. personal development. Do your work so that you can hold a space for your clients to come into that sacred space that you hold for them to do theirs. To this element number 4 is supporting the client. Again, not beating them over the head, not forcing them, not having an agenda, allowing them to come into this when they're ready. And I can ask about that. I can ask challenging questions that make my client uncomfortable. That's okay. In fact, as a master coach, you're required to do that. You can't just have it be comfortable for them, because sometimes growth doesn't happen in a lap of comfort. But I can challenge them, say, okay, so out of the 3 options, now this is specifically going to number 4 here, the alignment piece, which of the options are the most aligned with your life purpose, will fulfill your life purpose, or to what degree will that life purpose be fulfilled by taking, option A, B, or C? And have them think about it. Now, just because B happens to be one that's highest alignment, percentage, that's, like 85%, the other 2 are like less than 50%. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to do it. But what have I done now as a coach is I've raised the level of awareness for my client. Wow. Now I'm going into this only choosing an option that's maybe a 20% alignment to my life purpose. It allows a client to make decisions then about, okay, so in this new position, in this new job, in this new vertical, in this new endeavor, in this new journey, how can I bring more of my life purpose to that work? Again, supporting them to be in more alignment than they would have. I've also had clients 6 months into it, 8 months into it, a year later, say, you know what? Because of that awareness, I need to change back or to a different place, because this is not worth it. I am modeling something to my children that I do not modeling. I am sacrificing by doing this job, and it doesn't feed my soul, quote unquote. Okay. It's not the time for you as a coach. So I could have told you that a year ago. Not my place. It's my client's journey. I have to honor that. But it is my duty, my prerogative, my privilege to raise the level of awareness with my client. And by connecting them back to that self, I serve my clients' awareness and choice making, and it's stunning. It's absolutely stunning. A lot of our coaching students and clients will say, I've fallen back in love with myself. Back in love with myself, and that's literally the truth. Yeah. Okay. So we've gone through number 4. There's number 5. Number 3, we've supported them to find out or rediscover who they really are deep down, right? Their core. Number 4 is, now that I know that and they know that, and it's articulated on a piece, you can use that as an alignment process. Some people will call that their compass, their true north, their GPS, because that's their groundedness. That's what they use as a focal point for literally all their decisions for the rest of their life. Number 5, let's go to the coach acknowledges and celebrates the client when their plans, decisions, commitments, and actions have aligned with their core self, with their, again, core values, core purpose, core strengths. So I catch them being or contributing who they really are. Because I'm human, and because my clients are human, they forget. they'll say, "Oh my God, Peter, this happened this week, and it was absolutely stunningly amazing and brilliant and awesome. I was touched to my the contribution that I made at whatever, fill in a blank, right? At my job, in my family, at my my 15th high school reunion, whatever." And at that point, as a coach, number 5 comes in and says, I'm gonna invite you just to read your life purpose statement. And as you do, I want you to on what you just shared with me in terms of how deeply this event or this contribution or how you showed up impacted you or around you. And so they'll read their life purpose statement. I am whatever. And they'll go, oh my God. And to what degree were you aligned when you were in that activity that you just shared with me to this life purpose statement? And they'll say, oh, Peter, 100%. I mean, yeah, I didn't realize it. I hadn't connected those dots yet. But the act of me doing that as their coach reinforces that within them. There are clients and students that say, yeah, some days I have a good day, some days I have a lousy day, and it's really up to the universe of, it's like a random number generator is what I call it. Oh, it's your lucky day. You've won the lottery today for having a great day. Don't count on it tomorrow so much, right? It's like happenstance. And so with that, they say, by reinforcing it here with their own words, they get, oh, I was being myself. And I am so proud of being myself and honoring myself, honoring my life's purpose, living congruently with that. There is an exponential curve that I experience with my students and clients that go from, this is really interesting, to, oh my God, this is amazing. Holy cow, I am in control of my life now. I can take this tough decision now and not be intimidated into something that's not aligned with who I am at work, in a relationship. I am going to stop being abused. I'm going to stop doing things to please other people. I'm going to stop codependent. Amazing, amazing. So this is number 5, to reinforce. And that's the model. And I can use that over and over again with my clients. I'll give you a couple of hints here, and I'm going to experiment a little bit. Well, let me go to any questions, because I mean, what I just shared with you is the heart and soul of Coach for Life's coaching model. I think it's the heart and soul of a human being claiming who they really are on this planet right now, doing the work that they're here to do, not, as the case may be. So let me go to any questions that we've got. And let me scroll down. Amy's got a good comment here, is that, yeah, parents don't, my parents didn't wake up in the morning and say, okay, so how can we screw up Peter? Therapy at 35 or 40. They do the best that they know. They do the best that they have been told and what their backgrounds are. So Yeah, I don't think there's a bad bone in a person's body at birth. I don't. I think they're made conditioned in that's why that they have to be. But I agree with that sense of divinity that we're all created with. How can I be my best person? How can I support the people around me that I love to the best of my ability? Yeah. Okay, so what else have we got here? Hey, Charles. good to hear from you, buddy. Yeah, and we do have to get together sometime, reconnect. Love these insights you're sharing with us, Peter. Thank you. Take various in the successful living wheel. I always seek to help the present or the perspective reveal how they view the concept that their spiritual temporary learning experience as a human being. Yeah, yeah. Very grateful to know about the core self resources. Yeah, let me talk about the core self resources right now. Charles, thank you for that. You can find that at www.core, C-O-R, self, S-E-L-F-I-E, selfie. It's like a core selfie. It's like taking a picture from the inside out is the way we say it. .com. So it's CoreSELFtech.com. There are 3 exercises on the on that website. You can download them for free. I encourage you to do that. My intention is to get that in the hands of 1 billion people. So my new way of saying that is I want to get it in the hands of the first 1 billion. So I don't leave out the other 6.5 billion brothers and sisters I have around the world. And if you can help me get it to the 1 billion mark, the first billion, that is a tipping. Once that, then it'll have a viral effect after that. People will notice people that are making tougher decisions for themselves, that are in alignment with who they are, that's better for their family, their relationships. So CoreSELFtech.com. The first process is the self-discovery process. It can be and self-administered. The second process is a validation process that they can validate that, yep, what is on that written down is true for them. Again, self-administered. The third process is the alignment process, the one that we talked about in the last slide. Let me go back to slide number 4. It's the alignment process. How do I align a decision that I'm contemplating right now? I really am, who I'm meant to be, who I was, the way I said, created to be. Yeah, stunning. Okay. What else have we got going here? Could you walk us through the website, please? I don't have time to do that right now. I'm actually going to be doing in series number 5. We're going to be spending probably 4 or 5 sessions actually demonstrating that, answering all the questions around that. And I want to give it its due. What else we got? Okay, super. All right, so let's move on here. About in terms of reinforcing it. Here's the resources here. I forgot I put this on here. So there it is, resources, CoreSELFtech right here. CoreSELFie.com. Free downloads. It's a basic core self where you can, literally 10 minutes time, have an individual access, articulate, write down 5 of their core values, a life, and 5 of their core strengths. It's stunning. Again, this is gifted from spirit through me, not from me, but I've been using this now and testing this with the longer version that we teach during our formal training, and with students now for about the last 8 years. And the correlation between this shorter version, 10 minutes. I mean, can you imagine 10 minutes knowing all that about yourself? It's stunning. And a longer version, which is much more in depth and deeper and broader, which is about a 2-hour process. The overlap in this I've found is about, it's blown my mind. It's absolutely blown my mind. The second reference here is this is an ICF professional coach training company, and this is the much more advanced. We spent basically 2 days out of the first 5 days this, experiencing this, teaching you how to do the longer version, how to use it in the coaching session with a client over the course of the coaching engagement. And so we obviously will not be going through that in this format, but those are two references for you. So let me check time. We've got minutes here or so for questions. Let's see, what do I got here from Amy again? I pose that we have more than one life. I stand by it. Yeah. The life purpose that that you're going to reveal in these processes applies to all of your life. It applies to every stage of life. It applies to every activity that you're going to be doing, all the different roles that you might be in, a role of, grammar, like student, university student, all the different career stages that you might be in. All the different roles of mom, executive, volunteer. And so what I do not buy into, and I don't believe, is only one thing that you are here to do. I don't believe that. I think there's one way that you are meant to be here. In other words, to be true self, regardless of where you are in life. So I don't believe that the core life purpose changes time. It might be applied differently to different stages of life, but it doesn't change, is my experience. And there may be several missions that you're on during life. You might be a teacher, you might be a coach, you might be a parent, a friend, a neighbor, a volunteer. But the life purpose, the core values, the core strengths don't change. It may be the only thing on the planet Earth that doesn't change. That internal God spark is how some people will. Yeah. What else have we got? Let me just scroll down some more here. All right. So I'm going to experiment a little bit here and just share with you a couple things. I'm going to use a glass board as operational today. Hold on. Okay. Yeah. Look at fantastic. Let me get my mic over here so that you can hear me. All right. So I'm not going to fill. I think we just went through all of these things over here. The coach connects with their divine. The coach supports their client to connect with their divine and their divine. And then 3, 4, and 5 are the discovery process. 4 is the alignment process. And 5 is reinforcement. process. Now, the alignment process, the three components, here's what I want to talk about, is the three components, the core values. So for all of these three things, I'm going to put CV, core values, LP, life purpose, and down here I'm going to put NG, natural gifts and talents, NG and T. NG and T is natural gifts and talents. Here's the way that I interpret these, and these are the ways that I use these in the coaching sessions with my clients from the very beginning, before we actually start the regular coaching session about last week in terms of the engagement process. The core values is their most authentic way of being. And I see that my frame just freezed here. Afraid of. All right, so let me see if I can't reboot this. Hold me 1 second here. Okay, see if that works. All right. All right. Core values are the client's most way of being. So a coaching question that would come up in regard would be, who do you want to be, or who do you need to be in order to be successful, to be heard, to be to be totally at comfort with yourself and balance as you go into XYZ. All right, your way of being. We're talking about the human being here, not about their doingness. Okay, their most natural way of doing is using their natural gifts and talents. Their most natural way of doing. They do these things in their sleep. They don't know how they've gotten so good at this, but as far as think of in their life, they've actually been really good at this. It comes naturally to them. They're wondering why everybody else is making a big deal out of this. Well, it's just the way I do it. Just do it. The life purpose is what they are here to contribute. Can I get all that in? Not really. Here, let me see a little bit. Here we go. It's what they're here to contribute during their lifetime, and all the different roles like we just talked about. So here's how this whole thing is together. I take what I am here and can naturally do in service to what I'm here to. I am going to be my authentic self, and that's all I need as I am bringing my authentic self to my life's work, to my life purpose, to what I'm here to. And that's the significance and brilliance of this whole thing. So let me come back to this. Move over. Questions, comments, or you can just say, Peter, you're just absolutely brilliant. You're awesome. Thank you very much for, being it with me at 2021. Thank you. Yes, this is what I know. Yeah, Yep. Thank you for doing this, Peter. You're welcome. Yash? Peter, you're damn great. I'm guessing. I know. Thank you for that, Amy. Yeah. What Garrett's got to say. Model that you are sharing, as you said, helps to live the first day of the rest of your life. Love that, Gory. Thank you for that. Yeah, brilliant model that you have shared. Yeah. So this is the first day of the rest of your life, and I am at choice as a human being. I'm at choice. Do I have the courage to know who I really am? Do I have the courage to be and continue to be who I am in the face of disapproval, in the face of people going, woo, I'm not so sure about this, son. Your mom and I wanted to be a blank, and now you're going off and doing something else. That can raise a whole bunch of, that's not okay. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, Tanya. Can we connect through app? Hey, Reiki. Yeah. I have some time for that. Yeah, we'll get Cello to see if we can set that up. Webinar is awesome. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Appreciate you being here. To your interaction and supporting us in the future. So here's the challenge I'm going to give to all of you. For those of you that are a professional coach, reestablish this process with every single client you work with. Do not work with a client without a foundation of finding out who they are, and frankly, more importantly, for them to find out or reestablish, to rediscover who they really are. Because my experience from the last 25 years, my guess is that 98, 99% of the population of the world does not have this information for them. If you ask them what their values are, they will give you their values, but they're more commonly their family values. And again, nothing wrong with that. It's just not as strong as their core values. If you ask them what their purpose is, then they will share with you what their purpose is, and it's likely to be colored by where they're currently working. Again, nothing wrong with that. Every organization that I have ever worked with, or students that come out of organizations, corporations, around the world, there's a purpose, there's a vision statement that that organization has, and they're there because they want to support that. Necessarily, they're the one that their creator has given to them personally. One other real quick thing is that they have their own life purpose does not necessarily mean that they're going to leave their job. It's just that they're going to be more of themselves inside their current job. They become a better self. A saying that's been going around now for the last couple of years, very popular, to be the best version of yourself. Well, it doesn't get any better than this one. To be this all the time. So for me, there's only one best version, and that's core self. One other thing. Here, I'll give you a little nugget here at the end. Every human being is unique. Okay, that's not a news flash. Everybody knows that piece of it. But this is so much more powerful than a assessment tool that says, okay, so I am a black, and there are 16 boxes that you could be in here. Every single one of these discovery processes 100% unique to that individual. There's no other individual that, they may have similar words, right? There may be 5, 6, 7 words in there that are the same as somebody else's, but the words, the organization of those words are unique to that one person. Is that awesome or what? So you get a 100% unique compass, true north, GPS, guidance system by having your clients go through this process. With that, I will wish you a great day. Have a safe and sacred week. God bless. Namaste. See you next week. Bye, everybody.